Welcome to Will's World, your will overall, powered by Third Gen Physical Therapy and Sports Science Institute.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are at the time of this episode. I hope you're having a good time. I hope your life's going well. And if you're down, don't worry, you'll be back up soon. In today's episode, we're going to hit on a topic that I think in the time of the world now, it's a good topic to talk about. But before we get started, everybody at the sound of my voice, please like, share, subscribe, follow, um, get in the comments, let us know what you think about this episode or anything you want to discuss or talk about, and enjoy the pod. So the title of today's episode is The Circle World and the Square World. And I know a lot of people who are listening is probably like, what in the world is that? And I'm going to detail it the best I can in a second. But the biggest thing I want you to kind of focus on is um, how we live in two different worlds at the same time. Like there's a duality here. And I think it's becoming a lot more prevalent, when you watch TV now, right? You're starting to see that it's not what you think it is. So, just like most of the talks, we'll break this up into three parts. The first part will be the circle world. What is it? What does it look like? Are we in it? And if you don't believe it exists, that's cool too. And the second part would be the square world. Same thoughts. What is it? What is it like? And then we actually live in that one more often than not. And then the third piece I'm going to discuss is which one do you live in? Or do you feel like is more you than anything else? Now, the circle world. In the circle world, I think it's self-explanatory in the sense of that there's turns, there's actual not any main, points as far as like things that are definites, right? Everything is written, but it's really not written to stop anything or to offset anything. Is written to be evaded, like laws, right? I know, there were certain rules at one point in time that we all followed that said we couldn't do certain things or we shouldn't be in certain places, or maybe if you do this thing, you get this punishment. When truth be told, the whole time, those were not real. They were just put into place at the moments to appease society. And that's really sad because there should be some type of actual accountability in the world that we live in or in the country we live in, because there have been so many, curves to things that have happened in history. You know, the death of different political leaders or different, activists at different times that could not be explained or were explained, but then were covered up. Because whoever was, listening at the time or watching, I'm sorry, at the time, you know, did not need to know the truth. And the truth is that they've taken a lot of our actual fear and used it against us in this world, in this time frame. Like for instance, a lot of people actually believe that one culture is better than the other culture, meaning that one is like more powerful or has created more or has organized better or whatever. And the truth is that is the farthest from the truth. There have been certain advantages that have been taken, advantage of from one culture to the other. People have adopted some cultures and put them off of their own, and that's garbage. But that's just history, right? But at the end of the day, the biggest thing we have to exist together. There's no way around it. We will always have to exist together, even if we wanted to separate everything again. The circle world literally, will find a way to infiltrate it. What I mean by that is that if we were to go to separate sides of the fence and say, hey, we're going to do this over here, you all do that over there, eventually somebody on your side of the fence is going to eventually think that the other side of the fence is better. And then some people on your side of the fence are going to eventually turn to a place of greed, power, want, and it's going to supersede the need. or the actual greater good. Because human nature, is survival. And let's just say there's an issue with people being followers, right? Everybody wants to be the leader or the chief. And to be honest with you, that's not even real. There are people in this world who are convinced that if you were to give them a certain amount of money, it would fix everything. And that is a great discussion because there's been, proof that if you were to take all the money, right, and you were to divide it equally amongst everyone in the country, that it would eventually go back to the actual stakeholders, initially, the people who had all the money to begin with. And that's because of their mind, right? This circle world, there's things that happen and that occur that I think a lot of us don't care about until it matters, right? Like if you want to watch a show that kind of shows you the circle world, in my opinion, it's American Greed. People see the stories, oh my God, that's so treacherous. But do you see the common denominator in the stories? There's some common denominators all the time. I mean, the same exact ones too, and it's pretty unique because you get in a mindset of this thing, won't happen again, or it's safe to do because of A, B, C, and D. When truth be told, it's not. Like in one American Greed story, there's a guy. He was well, not a guy, but a group of guys who were selling not even insurance, but was basically, guaranteeing people that if you invest in this thing, we will take your money, invest it for you, and then turn around and give you this back, so much a percentage back, which is almost astronomical percentage of what they're presenting. And obviously it was a Ponzi scheme, right? My problem is this. It's happened so much that people are really still getting taken advantage of by the same process. There's not many things in this world that you can invest in that can turn into $1 million overnight. Some people get lucky. There's a lot of social media opportunities here that allow people, afford people the actual opportunity to make a lot of money. But truth be told, there's not many, things that exist like that. But I feel like every episode I watch of it, it's the same process, same people, same type of people, same culture of people, and it's the same business in the sense of how they maneuver through it. Don't you know that if you showed someone the cure for something, like when I say cure, I'm being facetious, but if you show somebody the correct way to do something, like this will fix that, and you presented it and wrote it down, you gave it to them, they actually wouldn't believe it. You know that? Because a lot of us go to the doctor and ask for a pill to fix the symptom. A lot of us don't never ask what can keep me out of your office forever and keep me off this pill. Because we're mentally trained to do the thing that we've been told to do by our parents and by society over and over again. But very few of us actually care about the cure. We think we do, but we really don't. We are willing to be led by people who we know should not lead us due to the fears of what the circle world says exists. Somebody's going to take our job. If we don't do this, they're going to invade our country. If we don't do that, this is going to happen. If you're not careful, you're going to lose this thing. If you don't look for this or invest in that, you're going to be behind that. And it's always interesting because this has happened before. It's the history book, but we can't read for our own selves. Somebody has to tell us something because of how lazy we are. Like, oh my goodness, it's frustrating. Now, move to the second part because I kind of lingered on Circle World for a little bit too long. But the Square World is very straightforward, right? You work hard, you do good, you get good. You know, if you quote unquote, invest your time in this thing, it'll return that. It's pretty straightforward, right? And that world is really safe for people because they can identify with it. It seems fair. I get up, I'm work hard, move to a neighborhood. I can go to this school, which has a great education, for my children, and I can take them there to those teachers, and those teachers are going to help my children get to where they need to go because I've done everything I need to do on the front end, and it's all going to be fair. If my child wants to participate in an actual team sport, they're going to get a fair opportunity to be able to make the team. All those particular things, right? And the truth is that that is farthest thing from the truth. But we live in that world, safe world. See, what you don't realize is that we operate in the square world because that gives us peace. This allows us to sleep at night, allows us to actually not take accountability for some things that are not happening around us. And we can blame certain things because they have already given us the outlets to blame the things. Everybody has an actual, opinion, right? Everybody has a platform. The news station tells you exactly what to think, what to do. So you feel safe because you're turning your news channel, whether that's Fox, CNN, NBC, whatever your news channel is, because it's going to talk about a certain quote unquote mindset or preference that you like, right? We're not going to be objective. That's kind of the hardest thing for us to do is to be objective. But in the square world, it's safe. If I apply for school, and I have these marks, I'm going to get in. If I go and put money out and I buy this thing, it's going to give me that back. I buy some shoes, I get shoes. It's pretty straightforward. And then we'll turn right around and we'll have moments within the square world we can make a difference. And what I mean by moments, let's say if you're a coach, right? I like to use sports as an actual metaphor. So let's say if you're a coach and you have a player that you have not seen, before in your sport, but they show up, haven't seen you ever, you haven't seen them, right? And your expectation is not to give them a real legit opportunity. You're gonna watch them do what they do, and whatever happens, happens, right? So you have this trial because the school told you to have the trial because you secretly hid the last trial, and then the player comes out there and they're a lot more than what you thought they were. You've never seen them play, right? But they're a lot more than what you thought they would be, and you don't even give them an opportunity. You know why? Because you already have that spot pretty much covered for someone else who is nowhere near their athleticism, their ability, without your assistance. And you live in the square world where the tryout is where you're supposed to be able to make the team. Hmm. Interesting how the circle world tends to interfere with that, right? How we have politics at play. If we were really to sit down and have a discussion about what's right versus what really happens, a lot of us will sit down, we'll really be discussed about the world we've created. And we all have an actual responsibility for it, or to the what we created. Nobody exempt, not even me. But it's almost uh, a hard conversation to have because now we're exposed. Now, the last piece is which one do you live in? Which world do you live in? Whether you know it or not, you live in both at the same time. You do. I promise you live in both at the same time. Even when you don't want to. You can be trying to do everything you're supposed to do, living right, getting up, doing what you're supposed to do, going to work, taking care of your family, not abusing your loved one, just really pouring your all into everything you're doing. And the circle will always find its way in. Always. And for me, it's a quote unquote conversation of morality. Um, what is required or what do we allow to infiltrate us? What thoughts do we allow to linger? If we were really to disconnect from the world in its entirety, would we have our own thoughts? Could we maintain our morality? Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah. So for everybody who's been listening, man, for a while, I really appreciate everyone. We all appreciate everyone here. Um, our podcast, our platform is really just touching on thoughts. Trying to bring some mental awareness of certain things, and also positivity. And sometimes it's a conversation of just revelation in the sense of this is what's going on, this is what we see, this is why we can't explain what we see, and then to encourage us to try to be better. Everybody could be. I could even be better. And I feel like that's something that's not happening enough self reflection because we're comfortable in the world we live in, or we're not, and we're just cool with where we are and the people we have around us, and it's cool too. With that being said, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please keep listening and keep sharing and keep following. And with that one, hope you have a blessed one. I'll catch you in the next one.